Hello, welcome to my channel. I'm Janet Yung, and in my channel I share about feng shui, Bazi, entrepreneurship as well as personal growth, especially in the areas of communication, success and motivation. In today's episode, I would like to focus on Bazi and the term death and emptiness with the word DE or void in your Bazi chart. And without further ado, let's move on to the next segment where I'll share more. There have been quite a few clients that have come to me to say, what does the phrase DE represent in my Bazi chart? I've researched on death and emptiness, and it's quite scary what I found on the internet. What do? I have DE in my chart. So in today's episode, I'll basically clear some of the misunderstandings of DE for you from my experience when talking to people, and I do have a DE in my chart as well, to explain to you what it means and how you can handle it. If you look at why there is a DE, or it's the short form of death and emptiness within your Bazi chart, it originates because if you look at Chinese Bazi, it's based out of 10 heavenly stems and 12 earthly branches. Now you have 10 heavenly stems with 12 earthly branches, and if you need to basically match them in a 60-day pillar, then you will have 2 additional animal branches that does not have a day stem to match with, and this is when DE actually happens. So, but what does it mean practically for each of us? Now, the term death and emptiness, it's actually what we call void. Void because there's no heavenly stem to match with the animal branches. That's what it means by void, okay? Now, from a practical perspective then, when we go through death and emptiness or DE in our chart, or have the DE present within our chart, it generally means that particular aspect of our life or that particular time frame of our life, we will generally be wondering, what's the purpose of my life? Why am I in this world? What's my purpose of coming to this earth? It's basically wondering about your purpose. Now, where can DE then present within your Bazi chart? You can basically get your Bazi chart from bazicalculator.janetyong.com that I'm showing here on the screen, or the link that I'm pointing to. So basically, once you get your Bazi chart, you may see the word DE as shown in this picture that I'm showing on the screen currently. Now, when you have DE in your year pillar, you have to then look back at what does each of this pillar represent in our life. So if you can remember, year pillar from a home perspective represents grandparents. At work, it may be a greater company environment. If you are looking at the DE in the month pillar represents basically our parents, our way of thinking about our career or our company environment. Then if you look at the day represents relationship with our spouse as well as our peers or siblings. Then in the hour, it can represent relationship with our children or our actions and our thoughts. Now if you also look at DE, it can represent different periods of time. Year can represent 0 to 15. Then from the month is about 15 to 30s, and then the day is 30s to 50s, and from the hour pillar onwards, 50 plus onwards. So when you have a DE present in each of these particular pillar, it will generally mean at that particular age point or period of time within your age, you will experience some emptiness in terms of wondering what's your life purpose, why do you do the certain things, or the relationships that you have with that aspect of your life may be lacking because there's a void. So that's what generally it means. Now if you were to look at DE, it can also be present within a person's luck pillar or within a year. So when we look at that, it could mean then for that particular year or for that particular 10 years, depending on where DE comes in, you will generally be thinking about what's my purpose in life, why did I come to this planet? And what am I supposed to be learning here? Why are there so much misinformation previously? Now, because in the olden days, when you have DE present within one of your pillars, and quite a few of my clients may have it present within 2 or their 3 pillars. So during the olden days, a lot of them may go to become nuns, monks, basically because they, in Chinese term, call 看破红尘. They have to exit the material 3D world to generally understand spiritually what it means. However, if you were to look at it from today's context, we have mindfulness coming into play, more and more people actually understanding about spirituality. Now, if you remember when I mentioned that we are shifting into period 9 in the year 2024, and that we're shifting from the mindset of from profit to purpose, then basically it's also in alignment with what's the purpose in our life. So if you do have DE within your chart, be it in the Bazi natal chart or lung pillar, please do not fret and say, oh no, I do have a DE, what am I going to do? What we're looking at is really finding out about purpose, and this current period, moving on to the next 20 years, a lot of people will be going through the same thinking about what's my purpose in life. And in today's world, a lot of people are going into mindfulness, spiritual practice, or just simple breathing meditations that I've shown you in quite a lot of my videos when I talk about emotional healing. So that's what it means by having the DE or the void within your Bazi chart or within the year or the luck pillar that you are going through. Now, I'd like to share with you my experience of looking at DE in my own chart, as well as how you can handle it. And here are my 3 tips that you can utilize to help yourself if you are currently going through this phase of your life. So the first thing that I would usually do is ask myself a couple of questions that I shared in a few videos as well. The first question I'll ask is, what are my values that have influenced me for me to be who I am today? So you should do the same. You should ask yourself this particular question of, who are you? Or rather, who am I? What do I stand for? And what are my values? So this gives you a clear guiding point as to how to move towards your purpose, because you want to answer the question is, what's my life purpose, right? So by understanding your own values and what you stand for, it will help you understand what your purpose may be. That's one. The second one, that if you do not know what your values are, and it's a little bit difficult for you to reflect because so many changes or experience you are having currently, the second question that can be easier would be, examine what makes you happy. Ask yourself, what are the situations that make you happy, and what are the situations that make you upset or unhappy? Because this then points to maybe what you stand for. And if you are able to answer question 1 about what values influence you to be today, this second question then reinforces the things that makes you happy or upset. Now that you have reflected on what you stand for, what are your values, what make you happy, what make you upset, then the third one is generally looking at what are the 3 things I can do immediately to make myself happier because I'm in alignment with my values and purpose. And that's part of fulfilling your purpose. Now, when you talk about life's purpose, it's not one big thing that you're looking at. It's actually taking one step at a time towards what you believe and stand for every single day. So that's how I've been handling my DE all these particular years, because I have one permanently within my Bazi chart itself. And other tips that has helped my clients and myself would be just asking myself or asking yourselves, or when I ask them to think about maybe simple things. If making a difference to other people's life is important to them, then what are 2 or 3 simple things that they can do immediately to make a difference to other people's lives. That's one. The second one is what can have you have peace of mind. These are very simple things that you can immediately take action upon to be able to answer what can you do to have peace of mind, or just basically doing simple breathing meditation, or what I've shared many times about not thinking so much about what has happened in the past, not looking too far into the future, but just having gratitude of what you have currently and be present in the moment. And if you practice this every single morning, in terms of being grateful for what you have in the morning as you are doing your breathing meditations, you'll be surprised that you'll be a lot calmer when handling the day forward. And as you move about your day, continuously reflect on the questions that I recommended, you will generally in the longer term be able to find out what's really your life purpose. Of course, there are other ways for us to examine, and that's true what I call 奇门遁甲, and that's how I also managed to find out why I'm passionate about certain things and why I'm doing what I'm doing today. So I'll share more in the coming few weeks about the guardians within the 奇门遁甲 Chinese metaphysics science itself. So let me recap what I've shared with you today. Today, we talked about death and emptiness, or DE, or the term void within your Bazi chart. And it can be present in your year, month, day, and hour pillars. And where this DE is present can then impact your thinking from that perspective of your life. For instance, if the D is within your month pillar, then generally when you're thinking about your career or the relationship with your parents or your boss, there may be a void, or there may be like some kind of invisible wall, or it could be because month governs your thinking as well. It may be your thinking about life in general. So that's if it's within your pillars. And if it's within your luck pillars, then it could be that 10 years, or if it's within the year pillar, within the particular year itself, you may experience and ask the questions of what's my life purpose. And I've also shared basically tips on how you can address this kind of thinking such that you do not basically get depressed because you do not know what to do. A lot of my clients may go more spiritually, whether is it from a religion perspective or whether they practice more yoga and meditation to help answer that. Or you can just ask yourself some simple questions about what do you stand for, what are your values, what makes you happy, and what are the 3 simple things you can do today to immediately take action to have better peace of mind and to be happier. So this is the end of my sharing. I hope you enjoyed my sharing today, and I look forward to seeing you in my channel next time. See you next week. Goodbye.